Consumer confidence takes a nosedive as tariff jitters spread. What's the news? American consumer confidence just did its best impression of a roller coaster, plummeting a full 7 points in February 2025. The Conference Board's Consumer Confidence Index now sits at 98.3, marking its worst monthly drop since August 2021. More alarmingly, the Expectations Index, which measures short-term economic outlooks, sank to 72.9, a level that has historically flashed bright, blinking recession warning lights. The culprit? A cocktail of inflation fears and anxiety over President Donald Trump's proposed tariffs on imports.
The details. The latest survey from the Conference Board reveals that economic gloom is not limited to any one group. High earners, middle-class families, and bargain hunters alike are tightening their belts. Inflation expectations surged to 6% for the next year, up from 5.2% in January, with many respondents bracing for higher prices on fuel, groceries, and imported goods. While inflation currently stands at 4.1%, still too high for anyone's liking, consumers worry that even the thought of tariffs will send costs soaring before any new policies officially kick in. Meanwhile, the Present Situation Index, a measure of how people feel about current economic conditions, dropped 3 points to 136, reflecting growing unease about job stability and business prospects. And Wall Street didn't take the news lightly. The S&P 500 dipped 0.8%, and the Dow Jones fell 1.7%, as investors collectively sighed at yet another round of trade policy turbulence.
Why should you care? Consumer spending accounts for roughly 70% of the U.S. economy, meaning when confidence crumbles, wallets stay shut. The Expectations Index falling below 80, something that has only happened twice since 2020, suggests that Americans are bracing for an economic slowdown, and the fear of tariffs creating an inflation spiral? That's a headache for the Federal Reserve, which must now decide whether to keep interest rates high to rein in inflation or ease up to avoid stifling growth. A real rock and a hard place situation, if ever there was one.
How does this affect the average American? If you thought grocery shopping was already painful, brace yourself. Businesses often preemptively raise prices when tariffs loom. Think of it as a just-in-case surcharge. This happened in 2018 when retailers like Lowe's and Home Depot hiked prices on appliances long before tariffs actually hit. In 2025, the same scenario could play out across everything from electronics to auto parts. If foreign nations retaliate with their own tariffs, American manufacturers and farmers could feel the pinch, leading to potential job losses in key industries. Meanwhile, higher inflation could keep interest rates elevated, making borrowing, whether for a house, car, or even a pack of gum, okay, maybe not that last one, more expensive.
Tariffs, Number 1, a quick explainer. Tariffs are essentially a tax on imported goods, making them more expensive for consumers. While they're often justified as a way to protect domestic industries, they also tend to increase prices across the board. And here's the kicker. Companies sometimes raise prices before tariffs even take effect, just to be on the safe side. Because why wait to make things more expensive, right?
Who's not a fan of this? A wide-ranging coalition of economists, business leaders, and politicians, both Democrats and some Republicans, have expressed concerns. Joseph Politano, a labor market analyst, warned that tariffs on Canada and Mexico would cripple vital sectors like auto manufacturing by disrupting supply chains. The Conference Board's survey noted that respondents were openly critical of the administration's policies. Meanwhile, lawmakers worry about the dreaded stagflation combo, slow growth plus persistent inflation, a throwback to the not-so-fun 1970s.
History repeats itself? Yes, we've seen this movie before. During Trump's first term, tariffs on Chinese goods and steel or aluminum imports led to retaliatory measures, supply chain chaos, and even a brief manufacturing recession in 2019. While those tariffs initially had some political support, they ultimately shaved 0.5% off U.S. GDP growth and contributed to higher consumer prices. In short, tariffs have a track record of causing economic migraines.
Expert takes Stephanie Gishard, an economist with the Conference Board, noted, consumers are increasingly negative about future business prospects and have expressed less hope regarding future income, partly due to fears that tariffs will reignite inflationary pressures. Eugenio Aleman, an economist at Raymond James, added, the rise in inflation expectations should act as a wake-up call for the administration. Even proposed tariffs can distort behavior as businesses and households adjust spending before policies take effect. Translation: even just talking about tariffs can mess with the economy.
What's next? The White House faces growing pressure to reconsider its trade strategy ahead of the March tariff deadlines. Meanwhile, all eyes are on the Federal Reserve's March 18th and 19 meeting, where Chair Jerome Powell will weigh in on inflation and interest rates. Powell has already warned that if inflation expectations spiral, the Fed may have to adopt a more restrictive policy stance, meaning interest rates might stay high for longer than most Americans would like. Buckle up. 2025 is shaping up to be an interesting year for the economy.